I guess this is episode 14 of Tales to be Told in the Dark. I thought we'd just go with a little meander again and see where it leads. It seems to be a good way forward. Just trying to think where to start now because when it flows, it just flows. When it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's a bit like singing a song. You may need the prompt of the first 2 or 3 words, and then you can it just comes. You don't have to actually memorize every verse. It just once you sort of unlock that door, it just flows. Yeah. So where should we go? Let's start with the, I could say, the present. I'm recording this on, I think it's Wednesday, or is it Tuesday? See, this is here we go. There's the self-prompt I was waiting for. This off-grid living is such that, I was only saying to Keith on Friday, do you know what day it is? I said, because unless I look at the phone, I'm not going to know. It's that far removed in structure, in daily living, from, shall we call it the matrix world, the outside world, from here, that I thought maybe it's Monday, but I completely jumped the weekend. It was actually Friday the 18th of August, and that seemed to be like the first marker. Or is it? Because 18, it's 1, and 8 is representing infinity, if you take them as 2 separate numbers, or it's 9, or it's 2 9s. Make of it what you will. So, yeah, it was that evening, the Friday evening, there was Stravinsky, the Firebirds, came on the evening concert on the radio, which is another way of saying Phoenix. It's a sort of, the story of the Phoenix rising from the ashes. It's sort of symbolic as much as anything else. And then Saturday, the 19th, that was it. I'd started uploading a 15-minute video. That was the one walking the path, showing with nature, and it incredibly took 15 hours. So the Saturday morning was it was horrendous in the sense of it was spiritual download after spiritual download after spiritual download. It's still taking a lot of processing. It's like, whoa, slow down. I've got to try and process all this lot. But I haven't got to try at the same time, because the subconscious will have stored all this. It'll come through as and when required. So I basically got shown how things work. I suppose you could say with the external world, the world that is external of myself. So if we use the analogy of a composite photograph, by that you start with, like an artist would do with a painting. You're painting the background scene, so you'd start with the sky, and then you'd put in maybe hills in front of that, and maybe another overlay of other hills in front of that, and then you'd start laying over the top of that trees, and gradually coming forward to the foreground and the centre of the picture. But here's the thing. all these different parts of that composite picture are shuffling like a pack of cards, and they're changing places continuously. Now look at your own life and just run it back. Consider your circle of friends, your circle of family, how that is continuously changing. It's reflected in the way the land areas of the earth are changing. You have coastal erosions and you have deposits in other areas. So it's always in continuous flux and continuous flow. It's like each of us is like a flower of life, and then your petals are like almost like cogs, and they're interlocked with other cogs, but they can keep getting swapped about and continuously changing. Now add on to this, look at a film strip where you've got frames, time frames. Now these things can run forwards and backwards, and again there are as many as there are the composite layers. That was a very sort of mechanical explanation. One thing with any of these, with these spiritual downloads, we can only use what we've got, and with comparison. So the labels, trying to use things that people can relate to, is really the only way to explain it, because it's only a hint. It's something you see and feel in the mind's eye. And it's incredible. And it came coupled with the sensation of a dull ache at the back of the head. Then you could feel, or I could feel, this sort of strange feeling that was going from the head. And it was almost like the front of the head was a lot of pressure, or actually all over the head was a lot of pressure. Almost like a migraine headache, but without the pain. But it's a sensation that is, the only way I can describe it, it's almost physical and yet it's not physical at the same time. So it has a similarity to a headache, but at the same time you're able to distinguish that it's not. Hopefully that makes sense, because I know I'm struggling to put this into words. This is where you find words are totally inadequate. And then the strongest sensation, though, was from the heart, and it's like, oh, this is a internal reset going on here. This is how it felt. It's like there's a communication going on between mind and heart. Let's really go for it. Let's just say I had a mystical experience. That's the only way I can put it. Doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. The only way you're going to know is when you go through an experience. What do you do with that experience, and whether you share it is entirely up to you. But I feel it is a good thing to share, because in this realm, this reality, whatever you want to call it, we all have parallels and things. So it stands to reason, if I'm going through something, that there'll be other people who are on a similar frequency, on the same, riding the same thought wave, will also be feeling things, and maybe, just maybe, I'm able to put it into words that are going to help. So if you've gone through an experience and you're puzzling as to what the hell was that, maybe it helps put it into context for you, so you know what it is. Now the other parts, it's really hard to explain, but let's just say you can sort of identify with Janus. By that I mean you've got a face at the front and a face at the back. It's said that the front half, whether in a male or female body, is your masculine side, and the back is your feminine side. And I basically went through an experience where I'm at the middle, and I've got the sun directly ahead of me where the mind's eye would be. And directly behind is the moon. And they've just stopped. It's like I pressed the pause button on a video. But interestingly, although you're aware that the moon is, should we say, at the back of the head, you can see it forward. It's a very strange phenomenon, which in this, I suppose it's like you're going forwards in a car, but at the same time you're also looking in the rear view mirror, and you're able to do both at this simultaneously without. Whereas if you were to do it with a car driving, I wouldn't recommend doing this. It's as if you were sort of got your full attention or half your attention on the mirror, on the picture in the mirror, which is going to affect your concentration on the forward motion. But in this particular case, and there's no car involved, your body is the vessel, and your skull is the sort of vehicle that this is all taking place inside, because it all goes on within. So that was a interesting experience, so I thought I'd share that. Whether there is a follow-up, and likening it to pressing a pause button on a video, whether there is pressing it again and this sun and moon in the mind, or what looks like the sun and the moon, whether they start orbiting, going round and round in the mind. I suppose you could say the more that you think of the experience, the whole experience is going round and round in the mind. So it's got some sort of motion going on, partly because I'm thinking of it and I'm giving it energy. So what is this, I wonder? Is this some sort of like internal reset? Because that's what it feels like. And I had similar, again, on Sunday seemed to be a day of rest from that, but then Monday it started again, not quite to the intensity. But there's also on the Saturday that feeling of the lower self doesn't like it. And then there's this dialogue goes on with the higher self where it's like, well, be careful what you wish for. You wanted to have an experience, so you're now getting an experience. You've put out the wish, so you've got to see it through. And it's only scary to the lower conscious mind because it's unknown. Not because anything bad happened, because nothing bad did happen. It was just an experience to be the observer of. So I feel fortunate that I've had enough experiences that I'm able to now distinguish and just sit with these sensations that we call downloads. And rather than it's something totally unknown, it's just like it's a new variation on a continuing theme. And there's a little mosquito thing trying to bite me here. That's rather annoying. But it seems to have gone. I generally just try and put out a sort of repelling energy, and that seems to work. It's almost like and I feel this is really what it comes down to ultimately. You may have seen the film The Matrix where the bullets just stop in midair. I feel ultimately that's what you'll be facing. Not necessarily bullets, but from the point of view of if you strengthen up your aura, and there's no time like the present to start doing this. If you're coming from the heart and radiating out an energy that becomes so strong, it's going to be like, shall we say, a spiritual umbrella that will protect you. But it's something you generate yourself. The theme surely with anything spiritual is about taking personal responsibility. So really that's the ultimate of taking personal responsibility. If you have this protective bubble, your own toroidal field around you, then it's not really going to matter what goes on in the external world. So you could have all these apocalyptic scenes, but you wouldn't be affected by it, physically, mentally, or anything. As long as you can just observe and be neutral and not be sucked into an emotions and say, oh, that's good, that's bad, that's terrible, because you're then being judgmental. And I feel as much as anything else, that is what this whole experience is about, is to just be an observer, not give any attention either way, not to wish everything to be that sort of Pollyanna, everything's perfect, la-di-la-di-da. It would be like trying to be drunk or maintain a level of drunkenness, that happy state. But how many have tried doing that and that, go on, have another drink, and it tips the scales, and then of course it comes with the day after, which is the low. And that's something else with this reality that I've found from the experience. There are no shortcuts. The shortcuts, or what appear to be the good things, oh, that's a quick fix way, turn out to be the longest possible route. It reminds me of the Roger Hodgson song, Take the Long Way Home. It's, I feel he was passing on spiritually downloaded messages. The artist is the medium of our Father who art in heaven, which is the imagination, where everything is created. If you use your imagination, do you not create, basically? But of course, if you fix yourself to a belief in something and say, no, that's wrong, that's blasphemy, then that becomes your crucifixion. And who crucifies you? You crucify yourself, because you will not let go of a particular belief. Because the thing with the whole, shall we call it spiritual, the metaphysical side, is there is nothing you can point to that's tangible. The only way you're going to know is to experience it. And then you can share the good news, or you can stay silent about it. It depends how you handle it, and what you're then, how you're interpreting it, and are you going to be going out there with a Messiah complex, for example? Because that's very easy to do. The ego mind will latch onto that anyway. But deep-rooted past the ego, of course, it's actually true at the same time. You are the sun, because that's our internal light inside each and every one of you. So things are equally true and untrue. This reality is just full of contrasts. In fact, taking what Ken Wheeler has said on a video, there is only one tree. The tree of life is at one end of the spectrum. The tree of good and evil is at the other. But I'm going to go with, let's call it the tree of contrasts, because I feel that adds a whole new perception to it. If you see it as not putting a judgment of that's good and that's evil, but if you see it, well, there's one side of it, there's the other side of it, like there's the yin and yang symbol, there's the dark part, there's the light part. But look at the two dots, they're the opposite colour within, and you wouldn't see those if they were the same colour. There's the contrast within the contrast, just shown in that one symbol. And you notice the division between the two is not straight. It's like an S for spirit. And it's very much like walking through this reality of, you've got to be flexible and be like nature. It's adapt. You may have to go a little bit to the left, then you may have to go to a little bit to the right. The material realm actually displays this whole pendulum swing quite well. with what appears to be a more sinister twist to it. But is it sinister? Am I to put that judgment on it, or is it just there to presenting something to me for me to see? Well, 2012 was the time. There's no coincidences. That was that magic year that wasn't, as it were. that was when the calendar ended, so the world ends. And I think we have that before with when the computers only count up to 99. There's all this hysteria about what happens when it goes to 00, and somehow that's going to end the world. But clearly it hasn't. And how many more times is the boy going to cry wolf? You know, how much benefit of doubt do we give? The word doubt, that's an interesting one. Maybe talk about that on another video. So I'm going to say love to you all, and hopefully that's giving you a few things to ponder. If the seed will take if the soil is ripe, is the saying. That's equally true about physical and mental. So we'll leave it there, and yes, love to you all, and let me know what you think in the comments, and any donations are very much appreciated at the moment. With this unknown new chapter that I'm stepping into, I really don't know where it's going to lead. This is one the lower conscious has no idea, has no clue which direction to go in. So it's a virtual post-it note. It's an ambition to self that I can't solve this. We give this to the universe, because, or whatever you want to call it. Again, it's labels, and it will resolve itself, and it will lead on to the next challenge, the next chapter. It's an ongoing story. It's expressed as a metaverse. Well, that's one aspect. Well, what about in the spiritual sense of a metaverse, and that being an ongoing story as well? Because it certainly seems to be.